Hello, everyone, and welcome.
Sorry, I need to interrupt you for 1 second.
Oh, okay.
Did you notice Steve Blackman is on the front page of WWE.com?
Oh my gosh! Are you serious?
He is on the front page of WWE.com.
And it's like the 50 awesome Attitude Era photos you've never seen before, and there he is, right there by the Headbangers.
Mosh and Too Cold Scorpio, yeah.
Yeah, that's amazeballs.
That might be Thrasher. No, I'm going to say that's Mosh.
I don't know who they are.
That was the one that became Beaver Cleaver.
Okay.
So I don't know which one that is.
There's Mankind.
It's good. There's Meat, Sean Stasiak, like front and center. Or is that Animal? I don't even know.
That's definitely Animal.
It looked like maybe I just wanted Sean Stasiak to be in the picture as well. Maybe he's going to be the new guy I mention every week. By the way, I'm the Larry. He's the Duke. How you guys doing today?
Yeah, that's how it's going. This is Game and Wrestling Connection Weekly, GnWC Weekly.
There's also a before and after picture, kind of above it, a little bit on the side, depending on how open you have it, where Tyler Breeze, before and after his transformation to Alexa Bliss. That's what it looks like, doesn't it?
Yeah, but the video is actually, I saw that come through on their timeline, and or one of them retweeted it or something, because I follow both of them, but I don't follow WWE because WWE spoils everything if I don't watch it live. And the video is which WWE superstar wasn't invited to prom. So I assume it's a Kathy Kelly video, which is cool.
Yeah, Kathy Kelly.
Yep.
They disappeared from TV for some reason, but they keep her relevant on social media. I thought that was a bad idea, but she was a little bit too lackadaisical, I guess, for the demand of the WWE audience.
She's sure. A bit too chill.
By the way,
I found it refreshing for someone to be a little different, but they don't want different.
It just seemed like you saw her on NXT and the pre-show to Raw, so there's no more pre-show to Raw, or at least on the network.
That's a good point.
So, by the way, we didn't mention last week, and I wanted to bring it up a couple different times, and I just kept forgetting for other topics. Andrea DeMarco was let go from NXT, and I know it's not going to be a huge loss in our book because we thought that she was terrible in her job.
Yeah, I'm sure she's a great person, but she wasn't getting it.
And they hired a couple new girls, and it just seems like that role is just a dime a dozen.
Kayla, she's really good, and she was really, really good at the live show I went to. So
yeah,
which I will continue to refer to because it's like it's one of two WWE live shows I've ever been to. So, and it's the most recent. So there you go.
Nice. How about we take a step on over to Raw? There's a couple things I want to say here.
All right, you lead.
Yeah,
I will follow.
I'm just going to quickly bullet point the two comments I have here for the sake of time. One of them being, I feel like, it's known for a fact that Braun Strowman is hurt. He needs to undergo a procedure. So they put him out there, and they had Roman Reigns destroy him to mask the fact that he's going to go, storyline-wise, why is Braun Strowman not around? Well, because Roman Reigns destroyed him. So he won't be around for a while. And this goes back to what we said last week about, hey, Roman Reigns got the win, but ultimately it's going to be part of a larger picture. Now, granted, storylines may change and stuff like that. There might have been another way to do this where Braun Strowman just walks out because he's done everything, and then maybe Roman Reigns continues to challenge him in his absence. That would have been nice and refreshing, something like that. Braun always wants competition, then he just says there's no more competition and he walks out, kind of thing.
Why not keep him strong?
Yeah, well, yeah. Why? Talking about the trope of making Roman Reigns look strong. You make a guy look strong in his absence by making Roman Reigns look stronger, and it just keeps. It's that snowball effect, man. When something you don't like, and they just keep itching and itching and itching and itching, and again, we're in a point in time where every week it's like, well, what are they going to do with Roman Reigns now to piss people off? And here we go.
Yeah, and what I don't get about it is that they keep doing it, and it's not like they're trying to make him the heel, And I actually heard an interesting thing from someone else's commentary on wrestling, and it was a couple of weeks old, but I listened to it today, and they were talking about Miz's promo with Dean and sort of setting up their storyline when they moved over to Raw, and it's that Miz is, the story he's telling is that he is the superstar. He is the corporate superstar. Like he's who everyone should be cheering. And Dean is just, an old wrestler. And the person talked about how that's such a Vince McMahonism. That's literally, that's straight up something out of Vince McMahon's mouth when you think about it. And that's either a writer being extremely just in tune with the audience and saying, these are the type of things Vince McMahon says, but see, they're coming out of the heel's mouth. So it's like, and Miz is very much the established heel. And I'm promise I'm circling back around to the topic, but Vince is it shows when he does stuff like that, or when stuff like that goes on TV, it shows that Vince is extremely aware of how people view the product and what people think of what they're doing. But then you, like I said, circling back around to what you're talking about, but then you have the Roman Reigns stuff. And it's like, don't you get it? Like it doesn't, like, you do get it, because you have stuff like what the Miz is saying a couple of weeks ago to start their whole feud, or I guess sort of rekindle their feud on Raw. But then you do this Roman stuff where it's just like he has to be the guy standing tall. And again, I don't hate Roman Reigns. I just think his character makes no sense, because he is the Miz's character. He's the guy that everybody hates, and they hate him mainly because the company wants him to be the top guy regardless of anything fan oriented, that or at least regardless of anything that the vocal majority, not majority, but I'll say vocal minority, but it's most arenas. So at what point is it a minority when most arenas that they go to are booing the guy? So why don't you just turn him? Why don't you make him say the type of stuff Miz says, and he'll be the top heel in the company? And then it'll take about a week and a half, and everybody will love him. Seriously, that's all you'd have to do. Like, just commit to him being a bad guy, not a good guy, not the guy, being a bad guy. Commit to Roman Reigns being a bad guy, and within a week and a half, everybody would be cheering him, in my opinion, or that would be my prediction. But no, it's still going to just be the same thing. So
yeah, and it even goes a little bit further. And I don't know if this is corporate inner workings. People don't want to say the wrong thing, or if it's their belief in their opinion based on the character and who the person is. Steve Austin gives him a ringing endorsement as being the next biggest star, and John Cena gives him that same endorsement and can't wait until work with him one day. And it's just like, well, here the fans are hating this guy. Here you are, like, even in a loss, he's got to overcome all the odds, even being as big and as strong as he is. He's always the underdog for some reason. And now your top stars and former top stars are supporting the guy. Well, what exactly are we trying to do? Like, I understand that the WWE model has always been, if people are talking about it, then it's working. And, there's money and a guy being hated because everyone wants to see him lose. So there's that. But has that ever happened with somebody you're trying to push as your biggest face? And
yeah, I don't know. I can't.
It's not working for me, because I got to tell you, I honestly, genuinely just do not. Even if I didn't dislike him based on, it being cool and stuff, I genuinely just don't want to see anything he does now, because I just can't stand his story and situation week to week.
Yeah, I feel like we're becoming what we sort of spoke against for so long, because now it's becoming ridiculous.
It's
like we were defending a lot of the things, and I wouldn't say defending, but we were sort of, almost making fun of the internet wrestling community for being so dramatic about Roman. And I'm not going to get dramatic about it, but it is ridiculous at this point. It's intellectually dishonest to continue acting like this guy is this big underdog. He's not the underdog. And I would, and to like sort of a side note on what you said with Stone Cold, one thing, like Stone Cold is always advocating for him to be a heel, and says that he would be your top heel and would become your top baby face, by proxy. And so he does admit that all the time and keeps thinking, well, maybe they're going to, like, he keeps holding out hope almost that they're going to do that. So I think that's part of it. And most people who work with the guy, with Roman, say he's one of the best guys to be in the ring with. Like he really is good from the business or from the in-ring business side of things. So, people don't like the 5 moves of doom or whatever, but all your top stars, that's what they've done.
Sami Zayn's the worst with that right now as well. And people love Sami Zayn.
Yeah,
so.
I know. And he does, like, he literally does fight. Now, his stuff's a little more, well, I was about to say a little more dangerous than Roman's, but Roman jumps over the freaking top rope onto people. So, I mean, like, it's all based on the catch. Like, he's fully dependent on people being where they're supposed to be, doing what they're supposed to do. But besides that move, most everything is fair. It's high impact, but it's fairly safe. And so it creates longevity. And that's the thing with the Roman Reigns. As much as you want to hate him, Seth Rollins should be your top. A lot of people, I've even heard it recently, Seth Rollins should be the top guy in the company. I heard someone call him the second coming of, it was Kane, actually. I heard this week call him the second coming of Shawn Michaels. Like, that's how highly he thinks of him. And he's been out with 2 injuries just in the past year and a half. Finn Balor. I mean, yeah, he had a lot of wear and tear from Japan and NXT, but he's out with an injury. So it's all supporting Vince's idea of I can't use a little guy as a top guy, or a smaller, not little, but a smaller guy as a top guy who does all this crazy flashy stuff that everybody loves, because they're going to get injured, a la Daniel Bryan, Finn Balor, Seth Rollins, so on. The list goes on and on and on with all these guys who weren't big guys with, more conservative in-ring, an in-ring moveset. They weren't those guys, and they're out for months and months and months and months and months. Roman, he's been out for 1 injury and a suspension, and that's it. That's it. That's all he's been out for. The dude's working, and his brother died last month. Holy freaking crap! Like, his brother that everyone knows, like, is a part of wrestling culture. He's not just some random relative. So, I mean, I'm sort of making the case for him, I guess, sort of being devil's advocate on this, but you understand why people have such a high opinion of him when you start factoring in all that other stuff, especially the being there every freaking week. But still, from a character standpoint, which that's been the problem, is they split up the Shield too early, which Roman says they did, by the way. They didn't give them time to all become amazing top baby faces. Right when they were becoming baby faces, they split them up and made Seth a decent heel, annoying, but decent heel. And the other two were kind of left to flounder. Dean ended up being a more popular guy. Well, Dean's another one who's there every freaking week too. But anyway, I'm rambling. What's that?
Every wrestler's there every week.
Yeah, but I'm talking about he hasn't been injured. That's what I'm talking about. So, yeah, I'm rambling and rambling and rambling, but it's
Well, speaking of Dean, and that's the
Yeah.
second thing I wanted to talk about was because of the Braun Strowman thing, I think they escalated the Dean versus Miz match to TV and not to the next pay-per-view next week, which I fully expect the Miz to win, but I think there's also a little bit of backstage story here that's going to go hand in hand with it. Again, it's been reporting that they're just stemming from ever since the Steve Austin interview that the Dean Ambrose character's lackadaisical style resembles how he conducts himself backstage as well, for however true that is. It just seems like this lines up a little bit too conveniently for Dean Ambrose to not carry the title on the quote unquote bigger show, and then they're going to give it to the Miz with the whole premise of, you know, chasing the heel kind of stuff, the Miz having the title and maybe Finn Balor chasing Miz for the title, and hoping that that kind of does two things at one time. It gets the title away from Ambrose, it puts it on a known established person that people hate and want to see lose, and maybe gives a little bit of a rub incentive for the fans to kind of, or for the office to see if the fans really do fully back Finn Balor in his chase for the title. What do you think is going to happen with that championship match this coming Monday?
I don't know. I could see Miz winning it, but it seems
Well,
It's
I actually didn't really say that the way I really wanted to say it and planned to say it. If the stories about Dean Ambrose backstage being lazy and stuff like that are true, and the office allegedly wants to set an example for people to work harder and be more motivated, stuff like that, rather than just go through the motions and be lackadaisical, then the Miz will probably win the title. But if things are kind of going same old, then they're going to set up Bray versus Dean for that Intercontinental title down the line, especially with Bray beating Dean Ambrose this week. For some reason, I'm heavily backing they're going to give it to the Miz to give Balor something to do, because your main championship's on a guy who doesn't show up. You want to talk about every wrestler's there every week. Well, no, there's maybe one wrestler who's not there every week, and that's your champion. So,
right,
being there's only one title, what are they going to do with it? And I think maybe an established Miz versus somebody that fans are high on, but the office isn't really 100% backing Finn Balor may be the dividing line, whether they get if fans like
logical.
Balor. What's that?
That's logical. Like what you're saying makes sense. You know, see if you can really build some steam with the guy. But I still find that odd, because it seems every time he's out there, people respond significantly to him, like bigger
Respond
than most.
Just to the entrance, or respond throughout the match?
I feel like they respond throughout the match too.
Okay.
Like I feel like people are really, at least they get into the finish. It's not like he's had like these marathon matches yet. Anyway, I mean the only big match he's had was with Seth when he got injured. So yeah, I don't know.
And that was unfortunate because he was fresh, he was new. People like to back fresh, new, unknown guys, or guys that make that jump promotion, you know, get promoted type of thing. Now here he is back after an injury. He doesn't have that steam, that momentum, that backing from that fan base that likes to do that kind of stuff.
I still feel like people are fairly behind him. I don't know. Maybe I'm hearing something that people aren't. I don't know.
I don't think they're not behind him. There's no negativity in the audience, unlike other wrestlers that you can hear where fans might start chanting something else, or sitting on their hands, or booing and stuff like that. But at the same time, I feel like when we hear stories about this, about the office not liking somebody, and however many rumors there have been about that haven't been true, I feel like there is some validity in it, in that once that starts happening, very rarely does that person get elevated anymore. You know, fiction or not fiction, it just seems like it's a very,
perception becomes reality is essentially what you're saying.
Yeah, there's some truth in it, being that anytime it has been leaked that they're not high on somebody. I mean, well, I guess we don't really have to look forward any further than Sasha Banks to debunk that rumor, because as high as the Office wasn't on, as much as the Office doesn't, and Vince McMahon didn't like her, she won the title 3 times, but maybe she wanted to lose
allegedly.
it. Yeah. Maybe she wanted to lose it just so they can, get Charlotte's numbers up there, to Nature Boy like levels.
Well, what's goofy about that is allegedly the Office, people were disappointed with her or whatever, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. But not only were there the title things, but they just can't keep her off TV any other time either. So it's like even when she has nothing to do with the title, they make it. It's like you were complaining about it, last week or a couple of weeks ago. Why is it that Sasha Banks has to interrupt every segment that has anything to do with the title, even when she's not actually part of the title picture? And it's just like, for someone that allegedly has some sort of heat or whatever, boy, they can't keep her off of TV. So,
and how good was the you just got a new best friend line from Nia Jax?
Yeah,
that was pretty good. Last thing I on my list here, and if you want to talk about anything, just let me know.
No, I'm good.
Seth Rollins versus Samoa Joe again. So it's like, so we had the blow-off match, not even a blow-off match, but we had a match on the pay-per-view. Samoa Joe loses, and then, it's like one of those things where extending a feud, like, why do I care about their blow-off pay-per-view match if they're just going to go back on Raw and just do it again, kind of thing. And I understand that feuds can take longer than pay-per-view to pay-per-view and stuff. It just seems like, should the disqualification finish not have just happened on the pay-per-view to give this another reason to go a little bit longer? Or
it seems it's like you want definitive ends. You want definitive wins and losses and stuff like that. But sometimes if you're just going to keep it going, then, and it's not the main event, like, I think that's what's so weird about WWE is they do things that, like, they do things right in the wrong context. Like, they'll have a feud continue off of a DQ finish at a pay-per-view, but it's a freaking title match. And that just frustrates people to not see the title defended, properly. And then you'll have something like this that it's not for a title. It's a personal issues feud. Then let it have a DQ. Like it's like it doesn't. You're adding to the tension and the personal issues by having someone win or lose unfairly. I don't know. It's just, I get that you got to do that with titles sometimes, but it's like, like when Seth Rollins, for example, every time he won a match, and Kevin Owens was this same way with the Universal title. Yes, they're the heels, they're the villains, but they very rarely won a match fair and square. As a matter of fact, Seth lost a couple of title matches multiple times, and the decision was reversed because of stupidity. Just stupid, awful storytelling. So yeah, it's like
it's one of those contradicting issues.
Yeah, it is.
We don't want everything to be the same and blah blah blah, and then when it's not, and then we argue that it should have been like in the template. It's like, well, which one do we want? Do we want them to just go through the template? And I understand, and I'm the one being a contradictory here. I just feel like if there's an absolute definitive clean win, no outside interference, just one guy went over the other in a feud that was probably like Seth Rollins just beat Triple H. So now he comes back and fights Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe is reputable. He's a strong, dangerous man. But that was Triple H he just beat at WrestleMania.
Right. Good
so
point.
He just goes over clean on Samoa Joe as well. Okay, that's kind of expected, I guess, based on the status and the rankings of these wrestlers' careers. That he beat somebody like the top echelons, and now he beat somebody else who's just really good.
Yeah, he was the Kingslayer.
Right. So now he just beat him, and now we're just going to carry on the feud. Okay, Samoa Joe got pissed. He called out Rollins. He beat him up. Fine, and that's probably all fair and logical. It just, except for the fact that I just can't get around that Samoa Joe's debut is hurting Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins overcame that to beat Triple H. Seth Rollins overcame that to beat Samoa Joe. And now we're prolonging the feud.
And this is the thing where if there was a title or something involved, I don't think we'd be. I don't think I would be bothered by it. Like, I think it would.
Or if there was no Triple H involved at all, and it was just Samoa Joe injuring.
If it would have just been he and Joe throughout this whole thing, then maybe that would have been okay. Yeah, that's true.
So that's basically that. So that's why I'm feeling the Miz is going to win this Monday night and get the title off of Ambrose, because there's no title on TV, so they want it on more of a reputable, hated person than just a guy who strolls around with a lunch bag in one hand.
Chase. Yeah. So people can chase. Yeah.
Stuff like that. All right, we can move on to SmackDown here. And first time ever, we had Dolph Ziggler confronting Shinsuke Nakamura in the ring. Except it wasn't the first time ever.
I didn't feel like it was the first time ever.
But that's what it was. Dolph Ziggler got on the mic backstage and said he's going to personally go face-to-face with Shinsuke in the ring. It's like, well, you just done this the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, this is not like, why did the writers not watch the last 2 weeks? Is this a new writer? What's going on?
We supposed to forget all the prior confrontations they had in the ring just for this ring?
That was weird because it was set up like that. That's so funny.
And then again, we have another backstage office thing and involving the women that they don't want Charlotte to be face, which is fine. Because, supporting our theory last week, it didn't have to be 3 versus 3. It didn't have to be 3, good girl women against 3 evil women kind of thing. Like, why can't it be 4 and 2? But it looks like it's going to be 2-3, and, like, Charlotte's going to be a tweener. She's going to be maybe
the opportunist.
This is
the ultimate opportunist.
This is my speculation on it. This is not something that was written down, so don't take this as like rumors that are confirmed or plans or anything. But Charlotte's just being friendly with those two because she just hates the other 3 right now. And like you said, opportunist. If a plan comes around, Naomi has the title. So does it really make sense for Charlotte and Naomi to be on the same side logically for Charlotte's character and maybe business-wise if you're really going to be pushing Charlotte as, the echelons of the women's division, so to speak? But so there's that. And how surprised were you over Eric Rowan and Luke Harper?
Yeah, I didn't get that. That was I don't understand what's happening there. Like, dude, again, have the writers not watched the show? Do they not know what happened here? Like, this is weird. I don't understand.
They just I don't have words for SmackDown since WrestleMania. It just seems like a mess.
It does. It seems, again, I hate to just keep going back to the well with the same joke. It's literally like people didn't watch the show before WrestleMania. It's like they transplanted people from somewhere else or just had a bunch of new hires on the writing team. So that's why they, got rid of some other talent so they could add more writers to the too many writers they have already. And yeah, it's weird. It's really weird. It's strange. I'm still trying to figure out Shinsuke Nakamura being the poster boy for Backlash when he's like, he hasn't done anything in ring yet. It's kind of weird.
It's like somebody was simulating a wrestling league. It was like your boys Kate and Allie on YouTube that do all the wrestling videos, that they took the WWE universe.
Kate and Allie.
They took the WWE universe and they simulated it, right? So it all starts logically and current. All the top feuds are in place. All the champions are in place. Right. And in the simulation, all of a sudden, hey, look, Jinder Mahal became the number 1 contender. Hey, look, Breezango became the number 1 contender. Hey, look, they drafted Nakamura.
You're right. This is universe mode. So, actually, that makes it more entertaining to me now.
Eric Rowan just defeated Luke Harper for no apparent reason. And they hate each other for no apparent reason other than, Bray Wyatt hit Luke Harper. So now Eric Rowan hates Luke Harper, even though he wasn't around at the time.
SmackDown is universe mode. That actually makes it funny, and that makes it less annoying now. I'm serious. Like, in my mind, it's now less annoying because I'm just going to view it as universe mode, and it's going to make me laugh at whatever weird twist and turn happens next that really makes no sense.
Do we even know? Like, we have to bring up the history of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn from 15 years before they were ever in the WWE. What about last year when Naomi and Tamina were like best friends? Are we just going to forget about that?
Yeah. What about Team Bad?
Let's just forget about that, right? And never reference it. And oh, geez, it really is. It just struck me now that this is the result of a computer simulating rosters and escalating rankings based on wins and losses.
Xavier Woods is writing the show. That's what's happening. He just has universe mode on his PlayStation, and he's just like, "All right, this is what we're doing this week." That's what they do. They just turn on the PS4 and start filming some up, down, and in the background, the writers are just writing down whatever universe mode is spitting out this week.
I gotta tell you, it wouldn't be that weird of a thing to do if you wanted to create something different.
Yes.
It works as good. Yeah, I might have referenced this before, but have you ever seen a TV show on Fox one time? It got canceled. It never aired in its conclusion. But there was a TV show that parodied The Apprentice called My Big Fat Obnoxious Boss.
Yes. I don't know that I ever watched a full episode, but I saw pieces of it.
So for those who don't know, they brought these people in. It was a reality show that they treated like a true reality show, but they had the dumbest boss that they were supposed to work with. And they all realized the guy was an idiot, but they weren't in on the joke that it was a fake show or a real show with a fake premise kind of stuff.
Right.
So the guy would have the team set up shop in downtown Chicago on a 102-degree day trying to sell soup. And then they would tally who won, who didn't win kind of thing. And then he'd have the boardroom, and then he'd fire somebody, and I think the catchphrase was "get the hell out of my office" and stuff like that. And it was pretty funny because on the first episode, the person that got released is like, yeah, and his catchphrase is "get the hell out of my office," and they were like laughing and making fun of him for that. It turns out, though, in watching the conclusion of the show that Fox put online, they didn't even bother to air it on the TV. The monkey was basically pointing at a picture of who to fire. So then they would fire that guy. So that's kind of like what this is. There's a monkey backstage, and he's just pointing at two wrestlers that will wrestle or be a tag team or something. And then he finally points at one that will be the ultimate winner of the match. It defies logic. I mean, this was the fans' show 2 months ago. And now it's just like, I guess I have to watch Raw out of comparison.
Yeah, I mean, Raw has definitely taken people's interest, it seems, and it's. I mean, I don't hate the women's division on SmackDown, but
I don't
like
hate
you said,
anything.
It's still well, yeah. I guess that's it. It's like I don't necessarily hate anything that's happening. It's just a lot of it's so. I know what I'm saying. I understand what I'm saying here. Illogical. I get it. It's wrestling. It doesn't have to be logical, but it needs to be a cohesive story at times, right? And it's not there at the moment. It's really strange.
The main overwhelming problem with SmackDown, maybe, again, going back to the contradictory theme, might have been that they did a little bit too much, a little bit too soon, with a little to no reason whatsoever.
Okay.
Jinder Mahal becomes number one contender out of nowhere. Great. It's a shakeup.
Still like that.
It's a surprise we like. Breezango's number one contender. Hey, we like that too. But now we have Jinder Mahal and Breezango kind of like leading the show, and it's kind of like, well, okay, I like these guys, but I mean, they did nothing with them up until this point, so I have no reason to really fully back them. It's just cool they're number one contenders, and it's a little bit different, so I like that. But there's no history of these teams or Jinder Mahal actually winning or being dominant for me to actually have any faith or believability in the fact that they'll win. So win-loss records don't matter in the fictional world of the cartoon wrestling or whatever Bret Hart defines it as. But maybe it does matter a little bit if Joe, I used to watch Attitude Era, is tuning in, and here's these Breezango guys that he watched lose occasionally for the last year, all of a sudden contending for the title. Yeah,
and maybe we get something new out of all this newness. You know what I'm saying? Maybe Breezango actually wins. Maybe Jinder Mahal actually wins.
I'm actually counting on one of the two to win.
Really, really hoping Jinder takes the title off of Orton. I really am. Because it's not going to hurt Orton in any way, form, or fashion. All it does is give him another notch the next time he wins the title, so he can get to 14 time. And
let's play Gyro lower.
Oh no!
Yeah,
we don't know how to play that game.
I have no idea how to play the game. We'll do it. If you agree, Geyer. If you don't, lower. Jinder Mahal with the Bollywood boy, Singh brothers, better or worse than Jinder Mahal with Heath Slater and Drew McIntyre? As champion.
I would definitely say better.
You wouldn't want to see 3-man band with Jinder Mahal having the championship title.
I like Jinder Mahal's character better as this, out of nowhere monster.
You're un-American.
Okay.
I think that's fair to say, right? They're all American, aren't they? Jinder Mahal, McIntyre, he's 1 out of 3. It's fine. But
1 out of 3.
Imagine they did that way,
technically, Jinder is North American. He's Canadian.
Yeah, no, he's from India.
Sure, right.
By way of, I think India. Didn't he come out with? Maybe that was Davari. I'm thinking of. I thought he came out with Muhammad Hassan, but I think.
I don't know.
I think that was Davari. He came out with Jinder Mahal came out with Great Khali, I believe, the first time. As his kimchi to the Kamala.
Oh, jeez.
But imagine WWE capitalized capitalized on huge popularity where 3MB was something the fans loved, even though they were essentially jobbers out there. Imagine they had something like that and the fans took to it, and boom, all of a sudden out of nowhere, one of them won a title.
Yeah, I mean that's.
What's the closest we had to that?
They're notorious for this, though. I mean, don't strike while the iron is hot. Let everything. It's just
let everything cool down, then release almost everybody involved.
Yeah,
because they have nothing for them. Well, you would have had something for them they were popular.
You had something for them because the crowd loved them.
How about Damian Sandow?
Yeah, yeah, but the more I see of him, the more I think that's him.
Well, no, I listen. I don't disagree that maybe there's something more going on than just performance and crowd reaction. Maybe there's a lot backstage that they don't work ethic and stuff like that we don't see.
Sorry, I keep hitting my mic. Sorry, I'm being very unprofessional.
Swinging my mic back and forth. I don't know if that's making a sound or not. The last thing is, I think the only time we really saw that was the small cup of coffee Santina Marella may have had with the U.S. title. And then Zack Ryder at that time with the U.S. title, because I would say Zack Ryder was more popular back then than he was when he won the IC title at WrestleMania. But,
sure.
I mean, we get WWE never does anything with the younger guys, and Seth Rollins wins at WrestleMania in a match he wasn't even in, kind of thing. But
correct.
So they are doing kind of stuff. What do you of the two, Jinder Mahal, you'd want to see win the title over Breezango if you had to choose one or the other winning?
Ooh, that's tough because I really like Breezango. I like the guys, and
I wish they would expand a little bit more.
Yeah,
and there was a little bit more clarity on the Fashion Police files.
Sure,
because it does seem like Breezango just mumbles. I mean, sorry, Tyler Breeze just mumbles when he does it, and I have a feel. Yeah. I feel like, or both of them maybe even still do, but that's their character. I feel like it'd be one of the funnier skits that they would do if it was just a little bit better production on it. But
yeah, but I almost think the low production value is what they're going. They're trying to go for that, Southpaw regional production value on it.
Yeah,
maybe a slight step above since it's actually on TV. So
it's actually pretty funny.
That's really hard to pick. I like the idea of a monster of a heel with minions holding the top title. I really do, but I don't know. We'll see.
I am actually previewing.
Speaking of top titles.
Speaking of top titles, this is a little preview. It's a new feature in XSplit where it links pictures between scenes. So I changed a picture in one slide. It actually changed it in another slide as well. Thanks for that, XSplit. That's a feature I really wanted. So did a little preview there. We are going to talk about the New Japan Pro Wrestling United States title to close out the show. But let's move on to NXT here. Interesting, the number one contender match featuring a guy they promoted for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Did not come with that guy winning. And I understand we had this problem with, and I think this was the first time we ever really noticed it, where PJ Black, the former Justin Gabriel, debuted in Lucha Underground, and they hyped him. And then he goes out there and he just loses to Rodney Mack. Who was that guy's name?
I think it was the Mac, yeah.
The Mac. I don't think it was Rodney Mack. I think that was the guy with Jazz in WWE. I think it was just the Mac. Or he has a different name. And he loses there and be like, well, they just hyped this guy. They showed a promo and he lost. Like,
yeah,
I
really
guess
weird.
that's kind of cool. And we got the same thing with Roderick Strong here.
Yeah.
Bigger things for Roderick Strong in the loss, you think?
I don't
Losing
know.
this one sets him up for bigger things in a couple months once this whole Hideo, Bobby Roode thing plays out?
I don't know. It's hard. It's kind of confusing. It's kind of hard to call. I don't know.
Well, that's NXT for you. There's not enough time for everyone to be on the top.
That's true.
Because of through graduation and other signings and stuff like that. So basically, your path to the top is either coming in way high on the food chain, a la Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, Nakamura, Bobby Roode, I guess. Has there been a champion that wasn't really high on the food chain when they came in to NXT? Maybe not since. I mean, I would even argue Kevin Owens was, based on his popularity on the indies. When's the last time Neville? We going back to Neville. Last time Sami Zayn, maybe, arguably, but
yeah,
has there been a top a top championship holder of the NXT title who wasn't on top before getting signed? Are there places like Roderick Strong? Well, there are, but there are only small windows if WWE wants to allow it between like a Bobby Roode saying going to the main roster and them bringing in an Adam Cole or something. You know what I mean?
Well, you just throw out that name, but maybe you're not just throwing out that name. Is it okay for me to say anything that happened with ROH recently, or do you want me to
stifle it because I didn't watch it?
Okay, all right.
But I do know Adam Cole is potentially a free agent, but he has been potentially a free agent like 2 times over in the last year. I don't think he's been signing long-term contracts with Ring of Honor, but 6 months later,
which is smart business, honestly. But
well, yeah, because I mean, what do you want to do? I mean, Kyle O'Reilly was doing the same thing. Bobby Fish is doing the same thing. Ring of Honor has that. I said this last week. It has an unfortunate task of trying to fill vacancies once NXT calls, once WWE calls for NXT. What else are they going to do? So that's why you can't have long-lasting storylines between like minor characters, because when's ACH going to leave? When is Leo Rush going to leave? All these guys, they come in, Ring of Honor builds them up, gives them a platform, and then another organization calls and they're overseas. Or they're with NXT.
Leo Rush could be interesting for 205.
There's a lot of things, and that's one of the things I wanted to talk about. Maybe we'll talk about it next week, so keep this on the back burner.
Okay.
Who in the current organization would be a viable fit for 205 Live to make you start watching it more consistently? So
sure,
we'll talk about that next week.
That's a really good topic.
Yeah. Aleister Black, since he's the Czar brings him up in chat.
Yeah.
Having his own font and everything. They're really pushing this guy, and he did work the main roster.
Yeah, I got to say, I really dig him. Like, I really, really, like, I like his presence. I love his theme. Like, every time it comes on, I'm just like, God, I'm not even really into this type of music, but I dig it.
I was thinking that too. I'm like, this, out of themes that work for people, and just, this is one of them. It really is.
It's just so, I don't know. I don't know. They're obviously very behind him, and he's very behind the for lack of a better term, gimmick they've given him, and it's working for me.
I like
in every
watching
way.
him kick
It's really working for me.
I like watching him kick the snot out of nobodies.
I really want him in the ring with my boy again. Oh God, his
Kona
name
Reeves.
left me. Kona Reeves.
We're huge Kona Reeves guys. When's the last time we were huge guys?
Reeves.
Didn't we tout somebody else before as being huge? I forget who it was already, but we're huge Kona Reeves guys.
Kona Reeves and the Experience.
Yeah, I guess they're foregoing the name, the Experience, Patrick Clark Experience, and they're just going to do Velveteen Dream now.
Yeah,
unless he's the Patrick Clark Experienced Velveteen Dream, which be hilarious.
Actually, I think the Velveteen Dream is his heat name because that's what he called him. Like he referred to Dusty Rhodes when he did his promo live,
right.
And then he says, you've got your American Dream, but let me introduce you to the Velveteen Dream. And you want to get the Full Sail crowd hot? you start using you start spinning off of Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah, do you want to get Cody Rhodes hot?
Oh no, I think he'll love it because he does it.
Oh. There's loving something
and Indies, so.
There's loving something because it's part of your family, and then there's loving
Fair
something because somebody else is making money off of it, kind of thing. By the way, really quick aside, I wanted to ask you this on and off stream for a couple, but while it's on my mind, I'll do it. Is there any apparent heat between Cody Rhodes and the Revival?
I don't know why.
Well, there was a video one time when the Revival debuted on Raw, and it's Cody, the Bucks. I think one of the Bucks was filming it. Cody, Matt Jackson, and Adam Cole backstage at an event, and they're watching Raw on TV, and they're filming Cody Rhodes, and he turns to the camera. He's like, "Man, F the Revival."
Oh no, that's a Young Bucks thing. He's probably just playing into it.
So the Young Bucks, that's a Young Bucks saying, and he just
it's not heat. It's like they just keep playing it up because it's money.
Right. I just didn't know if there was a story stemming from NXT or something, or Dusty,
or
both
sides just keep playing it up that they're they're the best tag team in the world.
Young Bucks are so smart.
They really like. People want to call them, indie-rific and all these other, sort of backhanded compliment garbage and stuff like that all the time. But the dudes, they know how to make money. They know how to generate heat in and out of the ring. I mean, they're just...
They use Twitter to establish a feud with the Hardys.
Yeah.
That eventually got the Hardys into Ring of Honor and made them and the Hardys money and Ring of Honor money. And it was just because of the way they use social media to make that all happen.
Yeah, they are. I wish people realized, and this isn't just being a mark for them because I don't follow them that much, but they are modern wrestling. Like they are how you should treat social media. How you like they don't post on social media a lot, but they're pretty tongue in cheek about it, but that's kind of their characters. Their characters are sort of like, not taking wrestling too seriously, but still still performing really well. So I wish people realized that they're geniuses without really even trying to be, because probably just because they enjoy the business so much. So.
Yeah, it's actually pretty entertaining, and it just they're just smart. Like they got everyone behind them.
They really are,
and everyone's talking about them. Even tag teams from other companies. It's just really cool to see something like that, especially in today's day and age of wrestling, and we don't talk about the other federations kind of stuff.
Well, the whole thing, the Vince McMahon thing that you asked about a few weeks back before. The whole WrestleMania thing where Vince McMahon made a call, hey, I think what you
told
thought,
the Hardys, make sure the Young Bucks take it easy on you.
Yeah. So that means they're on Vince's radar. Like that's the takeaway from that story is that Vince knows who the Young Bucks are. Vince McMahon knows enough of the Young Bucks that he's telling the Hardys, hey, just take it easy in that match. Tell them not to kill you, please.
Through all the negativity that Vince gets for never keeping up with the times and everything, like I think you really have to be an idiot to think he's totally 100% blind of any wrestler outside of his own company. There's got to be somebody feeding him reports about, hey, listen, I'm not talking about, hey, this is the results of the last Ring of Honor pay-per-view.
Sure, right.
I'm talking about, hey, listen, Ring of Honor has these 3 guys, we'd like to pursue their contract status and bring them in or whatever. There's got to be something like that. I don't think he's just like, Young Bucks, never heard of them. What arenas have they sold out? There's got to be
but it's I just still think it's amazing. Like that was my takeaway from that story. Is just like, holy crap, Vince McMahon, I think it goes back to everything we were just saying about him though. They make freaking money by themselves.
Yeah.
And he's like, as someone being who he is and where he's come from, I can see him being like extremely reverent of that, like respecting them in a very significant way, and just wondering, well, why don't they come up here? So yeah. Anyway,
I wonder how many wrestlers outside of WWE Vince McMahon has ever really had a formal rapport with. Is he ever him and Adam Cole ever exchanged text messages, or him and I don't know.
Doubtful. I think he's too busy.
They're hitting it up on AOL Instant Messenger. They're like, "Hey, bro, what's going on?" Winky face, stuff like that. That'd be great.
Winky face, kiss, shy emoji.
Yeah. No, really quickly on 205 Live, and we'll get to the stuff. It's a feud that, because they haven't been portraying it on Monday Night Raw anymore. They started it and they kind of had a little bit of a middle segment on Monday Night Raw, and then they started continuing it on 205 Live. It's a feud I kind of forgot about. Kendrick and Tazawa billed as Tazawa teaches Kendrick his final lesson or something like that. This is my problem with the Cruiserweight division with 205 Live is they do things on Raw to make me feel like I don't need to watch 205 Live. And then they do things on 205 Live that they started on Raw. Why are the Cruiserweights so important that they need 2 nights? This is my problem with the division. I can get all the highlights in the world on Raw, except for this match where I'm kind of pissed off because they didn't conclude. They didn't have any more segments on Raw, and I had to actually watch this show to kind of see the finality or the continuation of the storyline. This 2 times a week doesn't work for me, Duke. It really doesn't.
To Czars Point, it's weird to start the story and then think people are just going to kind of keep watching that same story when they're not going for the title. There's no title implication. Like, again, I know everything doesn't have to be about the title, but this is like this personal issue story that I have no reason to watch on 205 Live. And so it's like you said, it's like, why? It's weird, though.
They fast-tracked the plot.
Yeah.
They said, here's 2 guys. One's going to be this guy's mentor. And 2 seconds in, the guy's really not receptive of him being the mentor.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what happened to maybe, making him the mentor? And then
initially
having...
Yeah, make it look like Kendrick is being this gracious good guy and not an obnoxious bad guy from the get-go. Like, make it transition it. Yeah, but I mean, that's WWE in a nutshell right there. Everything is shotgunned right now. Like, it's just everything is quick and unfocused. And that's just WWE in a nutshell. And I don't think you can. I think the microcosm of that is 205 Live, where everything is just so accelerated from a storyline perspective, and then you get the whole. It starts on Raw, and then it continues on 205 Live, and we're expecting you to go over and keep watching 205 Live, but now we're not showing it to you. It's this weird thing. It's this weird thing of, if I'm not seeing any progression for that story on Raw, I don't know that it's happening.
I just feel like they don't care about the storyline anymore, and they're burying it. I feel like they don't care. I feel like when I don't see it or see it mentioned or see it happen on Raw anymore when it involves the Cruiserweights.
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
It's just irrelevant, and they don't care about it anymore, and they're just kind of burying it on 205 Live, yeah.
Right, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's this weird thing where you think if you don't see anything about it on Raw, then it's not happening. But their whole concept right now is start the feud on Raw, and everything outside of the title is just whatever. But we'll keep a decently intricate and continuing story going on 205 Live, but we won't talk about it at all. So it's like, it's this weird thing. It's like you have to watch both, even though you don't really want to watch both. But if you don't watch both, yeah, it's this strange thing. Yeah.
So they actually first of all, quick question, and then I'll get to my comment, and this is kind of rhetorical. How many times has the Cruiserweight title been defended on 205 Live other than the first night? And I think the answer is 0, as far as I know. Everything's been a setup for a pay-per-view. Now,
good point.
Now, the second thing is they're actually kind of business-wise doing a good job of getting fans to tune into 205 Live by setting them up with a little bit of a preview on Raw, getting them a little bit of a hook in the storyline, and then moving over to 205 Live. We had two extreme ends of it, though. They gave us a taste, then gave us nothing with the Kendrick to Zero Akira Tozawa feud, and then they're giving us everything with the Austin Aries and Neville feud, so that we don't even need to see 205 Live to see the continuation of that feud, because they'll be back on Raw the next week. Other than not doing anything on Raw, I'm not too sure what they can do to keep me interested in a 205 Live Cruiserweight division if they're going to just split things up on two different shows. Again,
well, if you put everything on 205 Live, like if they just took them off of Raw, and then you got ads, you got commercials on or during Raw and during SmackDown that were title, that there were title implications, and not just number one contenders matches, but actual title matches on 205 Live, then people will actually, I feel like, because WWE does such a good job of hyping things, especially with video packages, I think you can get people to at least tune in to see that title match. And if you can hook them, then you've got the opportunity there to show them something with the rest of the show, but then just have a nice long title match that's meaningful. And I think people in the arena pay attention, and yeah, it's just but you've got to like really invest in making it important. And like you're saying, the show as it stands is completely unimportant, because everything title related happens either on Raw or on a pay-per-view. Mostly on a pay-per-view at this point.
Right. And there's no reason why anything can exclusively happen on 205 Live with that full in-your-face metal as hell video that flashes all the highlights of 205 Live of guys jumping, running around kind of stuff. And boom, there's like your 1 minute sampler. It's like, wow, these guys are crazy. Let me go check it out.
Sure.
Instead of, all right, here's, 20 minutes of Raw dedicated to it,
Well, and do it like WCW. I know you don't want to do anything like WCW, but do it like WCW and have your kickoff match for 205 Live, which is coming, right after the SmackDown main event. Have your essentially for the show, your curtain jerker for 205 Live be high flying crazy. Like, have it be nuts.
Problem with WWE high flying crazy is it's
everybody does it.
No, well, it's kind of like everybody does it, but it's not as insane as indie, ECW, even WCW was with or even Lucha style. Like, Lucha is very tame to me. I don't really like Lucha, but WWE's crazy is just suicide dive tope, jump off the top rope, body block
That's
to the
true.
outside. Like
That's true.
where are the? It happens, but where are the top rope hurricanranas? Where are the outside DDTs to the floor? Swinging DDT to the floor. I don't know why I can't think of the name of that. Tornado. DDT to the floor kind of stuff. Where's the running shooting star press off of the steps to the outside? I mean, watch any Ring of Honor Ring of Honor pay-per-view, iPay-per-view, and you'll see all these amazing athletes and wrestlers doing all these shooting star presses, shooting star press shoulder blocks off the ring apron. And yeah, okay, they're not safe moves, but these cruiserweights are not. You're billing them as something death-defying and daredevils when they're not doing anything different than Roman Reigns.
Sure.
So there you go.
Yeah, I agree.
But next week, let's talk about some people on the roster, or some people maybe who make their way into the WWE who would fit good in 205 Live and fit well into 205 Live, whichever one's correct. And get us to watch the show. How about that for a topic next week?
Yeah, I like it.
Except for the fact that we have to preview Great Balls of Fire, or whatever the name of the pay-per-view is. But so maybe
I still hope that's not really happening. We didn't really talk about that IWGP United States Championship match. Championship.
No, who says the show's done?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't say it was done. It just sounded like you were winding down.
Bonus coverage. Well, that was the winding down transition of we're leaving 205 Live, but food for thought next week. IWGP United States Championship. You seem to have more of a opinion about this than I do. So you do you. And I'll do.
What? I mean, it'll be real quick.
Angry Larry. So go ahead.
Yeah. It'll be real quick. It's just there have been rumblings for months now that, and I mean, New Japan has just out and out said it several times that they're about to start making a major push in the North American market, especially in the United States. And now they're going to have a tournament for the IWGP United States Championship, a brand new title for them. And it looks pretty cool. I'm with a lot of people that I don't understand the allure of red straps. They just look weird. But
that's actually kind of like a throwback, the red stripes.
Oh, I know.
No, I'm not saying, I'm not telling you why you're wrong. I'm just saying, like, just in general, it's kind of like a throwback. I do like the red straps in this context because everything about this title looks throwback.
That's true. That's a good point.
Whereas as opposed to the McDonald's Universal Championship, where it's just like overly done red stripe because, hey, it's Raw with the red brand and, generic WWE logo on top of it. Actually, it's kind of a cool belt. I like WWE's belts and how they color coordinate with the different shows, so I'm not really hating on that. But I do like this. I mean, this is like a Antonio Inoki, Bob Backlund type of WWF title.
I mean, it really is. It really is. You're right.
I really like it, but what do you think their chances are in the United States, and what do they need to do to get people to really invest in the program?
Well, I was talking to you beforehand. I mean, they've got to be on TV, obviously, and they've got to be on something accessible, and that's not a play on words because they're on Access TV right now. They need to be on something other than Access TV. They can keep doing the Japanese replays with English commentary or whatever on Access, because that's meaningful. That gets more people, gives people more opportunity to see New Japan in
and
the
they
States.
have a streaming service as well in the United States.
Yes,
which
they do.
I don't know how many people subscribe to, or I don't even know how much it costs. I'm going to look that stuff up.
It's 999 yen, which is about $8 our cost. So, New Japan World is a great streaming service, and I hear a lot of people just talk really, really big about it. And there's also an actual English language site for them now as well. It's njpw1972.com. That's 1972.com. So yeah.
Access is HDNet. Okay, I got it.
Yeah,
that's the former home of Ring of Honor.
Yeah, right. So it's not that it's not a a channel people can get to. It's just that it's not mainstream, and they've really got to, like, if they're going to make a real push in the States, they have to get on a network. And I think that's going to be hard for them to pull off, but I don't know. I mean, people in the U.S. go gaga over anything Asian. So, and I'm not trying to be racist. It just happens. And people in the people in the entertainment industry love to have something Asian that is somewhat Americanized in a way. So, if they could play their cards right and actually be able to pull off things that TNA/Impact Wrestling haven't been able to do, and become a competitor to WWE. Now, will they ever overtake WWE? I don't think people realize how big WWE actually is. People, I still don't think, like, people can talk about how New Japan is so great and you know, they're so popular and they're so big. They're really popular and big in the wrestling world. In the entertainment industry, they're barely a blip on the radar compared to WWE's reach. They just, that's just the truth.
I got a little excited for a second because I typed in my zip code on access.tv. And it's like, select your provider, and like Roku was there, and my Optimum service was there. So I'm like, oh, cool, I get it, I guess. I click it, and it's like, unfortunately, Access TV is not available in your area.
Oh, no.
Like, what? But it is available on DirecTV, Dish Network, and Verizon Fios, which is, the fiber optic dogs in my area. Not in my area, but it's the alternative to Cablevision / Optimum on Long Island. So it is in more homes than I thought it was, actually.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
So and they've got Cyrus on commentary, Don Callis on commentary now with Kevin Kelly. So their English commentary is actually really good, and Cyrus is actually sort of part of that. There's like this sort of developing interest in him being in the pocket of the Bullet Club,
right? Because
he and Kenny Omega are pretty tight. So there's this that will create, like, the more that develops and the more things like that develop, the more you'll get people accustomed to the idea of, oh, New Japan is an alternative to WWE in the United States. When you have things where there's like these interesting sort of corporate connection storyline things, which people are used to from WWE. So, but they're not like Impact, where they're coming out saying, hey, look, we got all these guys from WWE, but they're not going to be like WWE. They're going to be better. We're not going to prove it in any way, but we promise it's going to happen. They're not going to do that. They're just going to keep being New Japan.
Here's my overall concern with a New Japan, and I don't really consider this as being any more than like a several times a year we're going to run shows in the United States.
Sure,
and we're not going to be we're not actually going to have United States New Japan Pro Wrestling programming. We're still going to do our thing, but every once in a while we'll do a tour of the United States, West Coast maybe, at least to start. My take on the situation is that for New Japan Pro Wrestling to work in the United States beyond their current crop of fans and stuff like that, they need something more American to it, and it's not just getting Ring of Honor guys to work their shows. They're going to need they're going to need, I'd hate to say CM Punk, because part of me doesn't believe that CM Punk would be the draw that hooks like a lot of people, but it might, and he's the only one I can think about. I don't think we talked about Johnny Mundo last week as being probably the biggest star who has been let go by the WWE, who has not returned to the WWE kind of thing. I don't think it's Mundo joining New Japan Pro Wrestling that's going to put people in seats and make it like a blip on the radar. It's going to need an endorsement from an established star from the WWE world. So we can knock on Impact for bringing in all those guys, but they need to balance between the two of bringing in nobody and bringing in a few people. The second concern I have is that if New Japan Pro Wrestling is going to do an American push, will they even have a working relationship with Ring of Honor anymore? What's it worth to Ring of Honor to say, hey, let's continue this working relationship, and we'll give you all the we'll give you guys from our company to work your shows so that you become insanely popular and we don't anymore. You know what I mean? It's Burger King opening in a McDonald's. It's hard to make an analogy, but it's like one fast food chain opening in another fast food chain's restaurant when they actually had a deal in several outlets to work together and sell the same food from the same menu. You know what I mean? It's a Pizza Hut Taco Bell, and now Pizza Hut's opening next to Taco Bell kind of thing. We don't have that relationship anymore, and that's kind of disheartening because part of the charm of Ring of Honor lately has been the working relationship with New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, that is. Yeah, there's a lot of. I don't know. It's there. I'll say this about New Japan in general. They're really good. They've become really good over the past several years of getting people here talking about them a lot. So regardless of what business decisions they make, they're really good at getting people talking, which is, half the battle with wrestling.
Listen, I remember in the 90s how excited I was when New Japan guys would appear on WCW television. Like, that's the first time I knew of them. Liger and Chono and Jumbo Tsuruta or whoever. He was All Japan, I think.
Sure.
But I remember those guys, Muda, there you go. I remember those guys coming in and being like, hey, these guys are great, and then they disappear for a while. They come back every so often. So because of that, I always knew of New Japan Pro Wrestling, and that's how I knew of them and started following them and tape traded for shows and knew about the January 4th Tokyo Dome show before it was even Wrestle Kingdom. I think they need that on the main stage now. They've been doing it with Ring of Honor, so I think a lot of people. I think the success of New Japan Pro Wrestling in the United States is attributed to the fact of their working relationship with Ring of Honor. And that Ring of Honor fans have seen Okada and Tanahashi and even Nakamura back then.
Sure.
And then have seen stars like AJ Styles go over there and Bullet Club and all that. So now they're really invested because their storylines on the shows they go to are tied directly to New Japan Pro Wrestling. But then again comes my worry. New Japan Pro Wrestling wants to come here and establish their own thing and run a full schedule of events. Well, what happens to the working relationship with Ring of Honor? And I guess that remains to be seen.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's
a really good point.
Yeah, but honestly, my gut feeling as of right now is that they are going to run shows in the United States, even though they have a United States title. I think it's to kind of kick off that we're running shows here. But I fully expect that business is going to proceed as normal for now, and the United States title is just going to get defended on New Japan Pro Wrestling shows here and Ring of Honor joint shows here, and maybe occasionally on bigger shows in Japan as well. So,
yeah, that's definitely a good path to take, at least right now. But it becomes and maybe it's a wait and see proposition. You do exactly what you're saying, and you see if it starts garnering more interest. It essentially is a test. So,
and last on the list here, ready for this?
Yeah, what you got?
Global Force Wrestling titles have been defended and changed hands.
I don't believe you.
You don't know this whole story?
No, I don't.
Jeff Jarrett has merged Global Force Wrestling with Impact Wrestling. And
I did not know this.
Those titles are on their TV, and they are changing hands on TV, Impact Wrestling. This is the dumbest thing ever. But kudos to the guy who created the company out of nothing and then somehow got... I wonder if he got money out of the deal. It's like, hey, hey, listen, we'll give you $10,000. Merge your company with our company. Okay.
Yeah, that's giving me less reason to believe that this Impact Wrestling thing is really going to work at all.
You don't like Del Rio versus Magnus for the Global Force Wrestling heavyweight title? Come on.
Who cares?
Mickie James might care. It's money.
Well,
for her family.
I mean, is it?
Lunchables, at least.
Oh, geez. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is for you. I'm the Duke. He's the Larry. Have a great week, everybody.
Yeah, bye.